How is Bob Lazar connected to S4?
Bob Lazar was hired to do some back engineering on a certain disc. He called it the space sport model. Was when we got to look at the outline of the disc, it was very close to the shape of the version 2 flying disc that Billy Meyer was photographing in Switzerland. Bob Lazar said the seats were smaller. They were for smaller people than him. There was only 3 seats. Billy described 3 seats aboard the craft. The outside shape was very much the same. Led us to speculate on where that craft came from.
In 1988 and 89, a nuclear physicist and propulsion systems scientist named Bob Lazar got several months of hands-on experience working on a classified top-secret engineering project for a covert branch of the U.S. military aerospace program. Lazar's work included examination of extraterrestrial spacecraft recovered relatively intact over the decades by Central Intelligence, Special Air Force and Navy operatives and personnel. After telling friend John Lear about his experiences within a secret lab inside Area 51, Lazar found himself at the end of a gun in the secret Nevada facility, and his job at S4 was terminated shortly thereafter. Fearing the worst, Lazar went public with his claims of working on UFOs for the government, and television investigative journalist George Knapp, now a Peabody Award winner, reported the story to the general public through KLAS-TV in Las Vegas.
Did you meet Bob Lazar before Lazar went out to Area 51?
Yeah, he was sitting right there. Goof on, Gene Elf was sitting right there. We were talking about UFOs. They took their tape, they did their measurements, and we talked more about UFOs, and Bob told us we were nuts. And that's when I first met him.
How did the meeting go when George Knapp and his KLS-TV news director, when they came out to your house to meet with you and Bob Lazar?
We sat right there, when the other table was there, and Bob strolled out and just asked question after question after question after question, and because George Knapp wanted to do a series, and he needed Bob Stoldow's permission to go ahead. It was at that same meeting, Bob Stoldau said, "Go ahead and do it."
Lazar and S4 became the object of intense scrutiny by UFO research investigators and reporters for the next several years, and his claims and evidence were presented by filmmaker and real estate appraiser Gene Huff in the film Excerpts from the Government Bible, The Bob Lazar Story. Many of the following statements by Lazar are from that film. Lazar says, "In May of 1987, some scientists took an antimatter reactor to an underground blast facility on the Nevada test site to perform an experiment. Unfortunately for them, their experiment required them to cut the reactor open, which resulted in their deaths. I was hired," says Lazar, "in December 1988 to replace one of these men. I worked in a number of scientific programs, some of which required top-secret and above top-secret security clearances, of which the most easily verifiable is my 1980s job at the Los Alamos Mason Physics Facility in Los Alamos, New Mexico. While working at Los Alamos National Lab in 1982, the local newspaper did a front-page story on a jet car I had built. Coincidentally, Dr. Teller was giving a speech in Los Alamos that same day. We met and had a short chat about the jet car, and I later listened to his speech. I never met Dr. Teller again, but in 1988, when I decided to re-enter the scientific community,